Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Create Your Life series, where we help you maximize your potential and results in the area of personal development, entrepreneurship, and travel. And I'm your host, Kevin Y. Brown.
Create your life.
Crée ta propre vie.
Create your life.
创造你的生活。
Create your life.
Crea la tua vita.
Create your life.
Ontdek jou lewe.
You better create your life.
Create your life.
Create la vie.
Create your life.
Create your life.
Create Your Life family, thanks for tuning in to this episode. Before we get started, I wanted to share some exciting information from our sponsor. We only pick people and companies that we think are awesome to bring onto the show, so please support them. As a podcaster, I've spent hours and hours editing, doing show graphics, and much more, and I finally got fed up with losing all of my free time to post-production activities. So I decided to do something about it. And if you are a fellow busy podcaster who would like to just record and have someone else do the dirty work of graphic creation, tagging and uploading your show to your server, and in-depth SEO generating show notes, go to podcastlaundry.com or call 347-871-8273 to schedule your consultation. That's podcastlaundry.com or 347-871-8273. Beautiful people, this is the Create Your Life series. I'm your host, Kevin Y. Brown, and we have another amazing entrepreneur here in the studio ready to go to work and teach us some things. He is actually a good friend of mine that I met at the Podcast Movement Conference and has had a great influence on me, but we've also had some amazing conversations, and I was like, man, you have to come on the show and share this breadth of knowledge that you have with the Create Your Life family so that we can follow your journey and create similar success as you. He's an entrepreneur that offers solutions to visionary business leaders. He's an expert in helping leaders create meaningful messages to increase sales within an organization. And he was formerly a professional golfer for 3 years before realizing his true passion of entrepreneurship. Create Your Life family, I'm talking about none other than Mr. Colin Morgan. Colin, please say hello to the Create Your Life family.
Any day I get to speak with Kevin Y. Brown is a good day. Thank you so much for having me on the show, man.
Man, my pleasure. My pleasure. Colin, I want to jump right in, man. Tell us a bit about your entrepreneurial journey and getting to where you are now.
Yeah, I think my entrepreneur journey started maybe about 10 years ago where I decided to be a professional golfer. I tried for 3 years at my hand at reaching the PGA Tour. Didn't reach my goals that I wanted to reach and had to decide and move into a different career path. And for a while, it was very difficult because that's all I knew was sports. I always wanted to be a professional athlete. I always wanted to be a golfer. So kind of realizing that that dream was going to end was difficult. So I went through a transition period of about 2 to 3 years trying to kind of find my way. I did a whole bunch of different jobs. I tried to launch 2 or 3 different businesses, all failed. For the simple reason that I was doing them for the wrong reasons. I was trying to make money quick, and I wasn't trying to build brand and do what needed to be done in order to run and operate a successful business. And, one day after kind of struggling, I was bartending at the time, serving. I went to my father who was working with startups. Mm-hmm. And, as a kid, you never want to listen to your parents, right? But I'm like, obviously he's got something going on here. I'm like, Dad, what are you doing, man? I'm like, what did I do wrong? What am I doing? I need help. And I got into learning about what he was doing. And he was kind of part-time doing some business plans for people and working for startups. And I realized very quickly why I had failed at all those different things and why businesses fail in general. It's because they have all this passion, right? They have an idea. They have a vision going forward, but they don't know how to get there. Mm-hmm. And so I was seeing an opportunity in which I could kind of go in and help my dad and grow this into a really strong business. And that's what I did. I learned, early on about the business. I did some business plans, and then I kind of found where I fit in. Mm-hmm. And that was with marketing and sales side of it. So I'm into business development, marketing, sales, and we've grown the business to kind of where it is today and helping businesses find funding and grow, creating really strategic business plans. So my journey has been like any other entrepreneur. It's long, it's tough to find, but I found kind of my sweet spots, and I love what I do.
Awesome. So what is the name of the business that you are currently running in addition to your podcast?
The main business is Plan to Profit. So it's the Plan to Profit group. So essentially that's what we do with helping startups. We also have a sort of a niche market in terms of working with restaurant owners, but our core business is Plan to Profit.
Awesome. So I want to go into the golf, man. How did you know that it was time to give up that passion? Because a lot of people, they dream of making it to the pros in the sport that they love. So what made you know that it was time to pivot?
I think I knew for a while. I had gone to university on a full ride scholarship to Oklahoma. And as I was going through university, I left after my second year. Things happened and I really didn't know what else to do. And sports was something that I turned to. So it was kind of me getting into professional golf was sort of out of necessity. It was whether I was going to go back to university and try to do something there or just go in. And I was having success in golf. So I kind of jumped in and I had my first year was awesome. I cashed in 6 out of my first 7 tournaments. I was making decent money.
Wow.
But I started to regress and I started to get worse and my habits got worse and my attitude got pretty bad. And I remember probably about 2 years in my head knowing that it wasn't going to be my path. And giving that up is very difficult because I didn't want to let family down. I didn't want to let friends down. I didn't want to let sponsors down to know that I'm giving up on this dream, which I've told them that I've always wanted to do. And it boiled down to a point where I was in Arizona and I was going to be there for 6 months preparing for Q School to reach the PGA Tour. And my brother had come down to visit and I was on the 9th hole of a 3-round tournament. And these tournaments aren't cheap either. And I was on the 9th hole and I just kind of was walking down the fairway and I'd been there for 2.5, 3 months and I was so unhappy. And I remember I was walking down and be like, I've been here for 2 months. I haven't seen anything. I haven't talked to anybody. All I do is go to the golf course, eat and go back and I'll play video game. I'm really unhappy with what's going on. And I kind of broke down. And it was at that point where I kind of realized you know what, you need to figure something else out because you're not happy with what you're doing. Even though you love the game, this path isn't for you. So it was kind of at that moment where I really made the decision to kind of step away. And even though you make that decision, it's still very difficult from months and years to follow, to be honest.
Absolutely. No. And so when you went and made that transition, that pivot, who were your biggest champions and people who supported you during that time?
Definitely my family. My family, I come from a family of entrepreneurs. So growing up, I always had that drive and, do what you want to do and you're going to find your own path. I never had to go down a traditional path in terms of people forcing me to go to school and do certain things that society wants you to do. So my parents and my brother and my sister, who are all entrepreneurs, they kind of all had my back at that time. And it was something that I truly needed. And I had that push. And I look back and for the year after I'd quit golf, I was trying different things and they were always pushing me to try something else. If I was sitting down on the couch sulking, I would get that phone call or I would get my parents coming and they'd be like, Colin, get off your ass and do something. And it was really that push from them, which kind of got me out of that dark place, so to speak.
No, that's awesome. So Create Your Life family, what Colin is saying is definitely make sure that you have a great support network around you in order to see you through the tough times.
Yeah. And not everyone's going to have parents like that, and you kind of find it in different ways, and you have to watch, I watched a lot of YouTube videos, and you have to find heroes. Yeah. People say mentors, but you have to find heroes that are going to really motivate you to do things that you otherwise think you couldn't.
Who are some of your heroes, Colin?
My biggest hero is my father. Just kind of watching how hard he's worked for what he's gotten. Definitely him. I look at, some people out there. Gary Vaynerchuk is someone that I follow who I just truly respect. Yeah, because he shows the real daily grind that people go through and the toughness that you have to have as an entrepreneur. So, those two are who I kind of turn to on a daily basis, I guess.
Okay. Speaking of daily grind, that is the name of your podcast. When you talked about Gary Vaynerchuk and him showing the daily grind of being an entrepreneur, how did you come up with the title for your podcast and what is it about?
Yeah, you know what? I came up, I was on the golf course, actually, ironically. I was with my girlfriend. I'm like, listen, I think I want to start a show. And I'm like, I want to make it different than others, but I also want it to be really impactful. And she came up with the name. I can't take any credit for that. I was spitballing names of what I wanted to do. And she's like, the Daily Grind. And I'm like, the Daily Grind it is. Let's do it. I loved it. I just love the kind of the name of it, right? I think everyone's kind of going through a daily grind in their life, and stepping out of the bad grind and into the good grind is what I want people to be able to achieve. So, I mean, I interview people 5 days a week, entrepreneurs, celebrities, business owners, actors, and I kind of dive into behaviors and habits that they have which make them great. And I've had the chance to speak to amazing people. You've been on the show, and it's just really, I love it. I really can't say anything else. I just love being able to speak to people who I view as heroes and mentors.
I love it. You got sponsorship pretty early on, which is a code that many podcasters are trying to crack. Man, how did you do it?
Yeah, you know what? I got into podcasting. I didn't know anything about it. So when I started it, I just kind of looked at it like a business. And for people out there, businesses spend tons of money on cold leads every single day. They spend $10, $12 a click on Google AdWords for people they've never met. They do the same thing on LinkedIn. They spend thousands of dollars a month on Facebook just to get like an email. Right. You know what I'm saying? So I looked at it and I'm like, I am creating a really sort of solid audience here who are engaged, who are listening to me every day. And even though I don't have 10,000 listeners an episode, my 1,000 that I had at the time, I'm like, that's good enough. Like, if I was a business owner and I knew who this was, I would pay for this. So I just looked at it as a business, and I reached out to other sponsors out there and I said, here's my show, here's what I represent, and let's work out a deal. So I started with 2-3 month trial runs because I want it to be beneficial for the sponsor as well. Absolutely. And if things were working, it went forward. And if they weren't, we stopped. And I was just constantly looking for that because, I mean, a podcast audience is way more engaged than people spending money online. It's crazy. So just look at it like a business.
No, I mean, absolutely. It really is. I think it's like 60-70% more engaged than the typical audience. So with that, how did you go about specifically finding the sponsors that you had?
I looked at two things. So I looked at other podcasts. So who is currently spending money on podcasts? What companies? And I created a list of 10. And then I looked at who isn't but should be. So who fits my kind of a niche market in terms of maybe they advertise on, a newspaper, say they're old school, right? So I'm giving them a new medium for them to spend their money, and it's a lot cheaper than they're going to get anywhere else. So I came up with 2 different scripts for people who currently spend money and who didn't. I reached out to 10, so I reached out to 20 total. And my goal simply was to get a phone call, because you're not going to sell anything on an email. You have to get over the phone with these people. And that's where sort of sales techniques and skills really play a big part in anything in business. So I got them on the phone. I explained my show. I pitched a 2-month trial run for what I'm doing. And when I asked for dollar amounts, at the beginning, I kind of went with, let's do $25 per 1,000, right? Like everyone else does. And then I'm like, you know what? That doesn't make any sense. Like, if someone wants to sponsor on my show, it's going to cost, $300-$400 an episode, and that's what it is. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But that is what the show is worth. And I started to go and take that approach, and offering the 2-month trial, you really see the massive results that they're getting, and they're happy to pay it if they get the results.
Absolutely. And did you do anything to ensure that they made the results?
Yeah, not only for me, and I tell people this all the time, don't only advertise on your podcast. Yeah. I would, for people, I had an audience in terms of the people that we're working with in business. So if someone came across and they're starting a business, they really needed to make sure that they had a website. So I would pitch them on ClickFunnels, and I would do everything that I could outside of the podcast game in order to really capture it. Because you got to realize, like, if you do right by them for the first time, they're going to consistently do right by you. And it's giving, and then you'll receive. And I've learned that the hard way. You have to give first. If you give first, you see amazing results back. So it's doing everything you can outside of podcasting in order to promote them. And that's really how you're going to be able to secure these people long term.
Create Your Life, family. What Colin is saying right now is relationships, 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 and also make sure that you come in with a giving attitude instead of a taker's attitude. Colin, I asked you all of those questions because I wanted to lead into this question. You are writing a book that is about to come out. When can we get a copy? What's the title of the book? What's it about?
Yeah, it's going to be the podcast sales playbook. I don't have an official date, but it'll probably come out here in the next month or so. I wouldn't necessarily call it a book. I call it a playbook. It's not going to have any of my background in it. I just want this to be tactical. I want you to be able to read this and every sentence be able to take something from it. So whether you have a show or whether you don't, you can look at it and say, wow, I can see massive results if I start a show. So what I'll do for you, Kevin, is when it does go live, I'll share that link. I'll share the site where people can get it. And for everyone in the Create Your Life series family, I'll give you a free copy of that.
Oh, awesome. We appreciate it, man. And super excited to share it and also help you get the word out about it. What would you say has been the biggest personal challenge that you've needed to overcome in order to become who you are now?
I love that question. I think it's overcoming your self-doubt. So I think it was me. Like my biggest obstacle was me. It's thinking that you're not good enough or you're not smart enough or who's going to listen to you or, you're too young. There's so many doubts and there's so many fears that you're going to go through in life, not even in entrepreneurship, in life. What you have to do is you have to create a really solid foundation of who you are. You need to get really self-aware with who you are and what you want. And you need to have that vision so clear in your mind that when you do come across an obstacle, that you're able to work around it because you have that end goal in mind. I think so many people, when you don't have that, you run into an obstacle and what you do is most people quit or they go back. And I think you honestly need to build that muscle. So I think a real gem that people can take away is to do something every day that you don't like doing.
Right.
And I started to do that recently, and it's really been a game changer because if you get comfortable, right, if you're doing the same things over and over, you have a comfortable routine. When you do face adversity, it's very hard to overcome that adversity. But if you're putting yourself into uncomfortable positions every day, it's easy to overcome that adversity. So whether it's exercising, doing something that you hate, running on a treadmill, doing work you don't like, you have to do things that are going to build that muscle. So when you come across adversity, you're able to overcome it. And I think that's huge in everything, whether you're in business or not in business, whether you're an athlete, you have to constantly be putting yourself into uncomfortable positions.
Wow, Create Your Life family. I hope that you are really enjoying this episode. I wanted to give a quick shout out to our sponsors and let you know that our sponsors are giving special offers just for you. If you are a fellow busy podcaster who just wants to record and spend the rest of your time doing what you love, like working out at the gym, with family and friends, or traveling, use code CYLS for a discount on services when you go to podcastlaundry.com or call 347-871-8273 to schedule your consultation. That's podcastlaundry.com or 347-871-8273. And without further ado, let's get back to the show. Other than consistency, what has helped you to get to where you are today and experience growth as a podcaster and entrepreneur?
It's hard work. There's nothing else out there that, people tell you you have to do a whole bunch of different things. If you work hard, if you have a vision in mind and you work towards that every day, you're going to get there eventually. And your path maybe is going to be different than what you view it as. And you have to be flexible to know that things change and you have to adapt to the times. You have to adapt to the scenario, the environment. But nothing beats just hard work. Like no matter what you're doing, you got to work hard and you have to go after what you want.
How did you deal with the negative feedback as you were rising? And what did you think when you first saw it? Was it public or not? And were you prepared for it?
Was I prepared for it? Yes. Because I think that I had been through enough in my life where no matter what was thrown my way, it would never be worse than what I had gone through, if that makes sense. So for me, it was, I had no fear in terms of what other people thought because it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. If someone tells you that you stutter, or if someone tells you that you don't look right, or if someone tells you that your business idea is wrong, who are they to tell you that? Like you create everything. And that's why I love the name of your show, man. Like you really create your life. There's no one else out there that is going to help you. Most people are going to really rag on you. But it's your job to go past that. And you have to love what you do first and foremost, but you have to have a passion inside of you, a fire inside of you that no matter what you're doing, you're going to get past that. And, for me, you face adversity with people telling you, like I said, that you're not good enough. The business idea is bad. The podcast is never going to work. You're never going to be able to find 5 people a day. And that was just fuel enough for me to be like, you know what? If they don't think it's going to work, I'll make it work.
Okay. So Create Your Life family, you hear Colin saying, make your haters your motivators.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So Colin, for you, what advice would you give to others looking to follow in footsteps similar to yours?
Don't try to do it yourself. There are people who have done what you're trying to do and have succeeded in it. And there's no point in trying to pave your own way, which you do have to pave your own way, but there are people that can help you along the way. And the minute I got a coach, the minute I got a mentor is when things really started to accelerate for me. Because what it does is it provides you with that accountability that you would otherwise not have. Everyone has goals, right? But if you keep them to yourself, you can make up an excuse as to why you don't have it. But when you have someone every day or every week coming at you and saying, Colin, those goals you set last week, where are you at with them? What'd you do in order to take the steps towards that? Like, you're not just answering to yourself, you're answering to others. And accountability, I cannot stress that enough. Accountability is what's going to push you forward. So if you have an idea, if you have a vision, if you have a goal, find someone that's going to make you accountable to achieve those.
Okay. And if you weren't doing what you're doing now, what would you be doing? What career or hobby have you always wanted to pursue?
Oh, I like that. I wasn't doing what I'm doing now. You know what? Can I do anything?
Of course. It's your life.
Love it. I've always wanted to get in the entertainment industry.
Okay.
So whether that be, up on stage doing some type of comedy or acting, I've always had sort of like this underbelly of like, I would love to do that. I've always been the kind of person in my family that makes jokes and does the impressions, kind of make people laugh. But I'm also very reserved in terms of being in front of a big group. But I've always had sort of that little inkling of, maybe I should get up on stage and do a little comedy skit or try to get into acting. But I don't know if it would really work. But maybe that would be a career I'd pursue if I didn't need any money.
We'll see you at amateur night soon then.
I guess so. Now I put
up.
myself in this situation. Now I got to get in there.
Yeah, man. Okay, so my next question for you, Colin, is can you swim?
I can swim.
Cool, because we're about to jump into the dolphin tank.
Ooh, nice. Let's do it.
All right, you ready? This is rapid fire, man. What are your goal-setting methods, and how do you make sure that you are growing each year?
I set goals daily. I think setting goals yearly is difficult for me. I can see what's in front of me. So every day I set 3 intentions to what I want to accomplish physically, mentally, and in business. And if I can push forward in one way, that's going to advance me forward in the long run. So I can only look at the seconds and let the minutes take care of themselves.
Love that. What was holding you back from creating your best life?
Me.
Okay.
My fears, my doubts, everything that was in my head, that's what was holding me back for the longest time.
Top tech that you are using to make your business and life run smoothly?
My calendar. Calendly is something that I've recently gotten. If I can have everything in my calendar, it makes sure that I don't miss what I need done, and it makes sure I get done what I need to get done.
Okay. Favorite quote or motto that you live by?
It's impossible until someone else does it. That, and my father always told me when I was younger, we all get butterflies, but our goal is to get those butterflies to fly in formation.
That is powerful. Favorite or most impactful book that you've read?
Principles by Ray Dalio, by far the best book I've ever read. Make sure you get that copy, and it's going to teach you life lessons, it's going to teach you business lessons and everything in between. It's amazing.
Okay. 3 jewels you would tell someone looking to create their best life?
Get clear on what you want, become really self-aware of what you're good at and what you're not, and find someone to help you accomplish your goals.
Okay. So what's next for Colin and the Daily Grind podcast?
I got big things coming out, man. I have a new video show, which is going to be launching soon, where I'm actually going to be doing interviews on the golf course. So it's going to combine my old career, my new career. The first guest is actually going to be Dave Meltzer, CEO of Sports One Marketing, going out to San Diego here in a couple weeks, going to be filming that episode, and I'm excited to share it with everyone.
Awesome. How can we keep in contact with you?
Best way to connect with me is you can either visit my website, dailygrindpodcast.com, or you can follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Instagram is probably the best one if you're looking for content, LinkedIn. But feel free to reach out to me, direct message me on Instagram. I try to do my best to respond to absolutely everyone there. Or if you want off air here, Kevin, I can share my email address and you can put it in the show notes to make it super simple for someone to reach out.
Absolutely. Will do. Okay. Well, Colin, we've reached that moment where it's actually time for the turnaround. This is where you become the interviewer, I become the interviewee, and you have 3 questions to ask and I have to answer. So, yeah, I only have one request.
What's your one request?
Please be gentle.
You got it. I'm always gentle here. What is one daily behavior that you have that you would say contributes to your success?
My morning routine. If I do my morning routine, which I do almost every day, I have an amazing day. If I deter away from it, or if I, for some reason, wake up later or something like that and don't get to it, it definitely makes a huge difference in the type of day that I have.
If someone could come in to your business, Kevin, or your podcast and help you with one thing, help you solve a problem or help you accelerate, what would they help you with?
Growth in ad sales would be the 2 areas that we need help in.
What kind of impact would that make if you had ad sales?
Ad sales would help us to be able, it's like a chicken before the egg thing. The ad sales would definitely help us to be able to grow because we'd be able to put some people in some positions to assist us in areas where we might be a couple of people short. So, absolutely.
And lastly for you, what's one bad behavior that you have that you need to get out of your life?
Spending time on websites that I shouldn't be on or apps. And so I've actually, as of 2 days ago, have literally just stopped. And every time I do it, then I just catch myself. So I'm like literally focused in. I set a new set of 30-day goals and I am just locked in on those. And anything that doesn't have anything to do with those, I'm not interested.
Love it, man. Can I share something?
Absolutely.
All right, cool. I'm the same way. Like apps, computers, technology, I get distracted, right? I think I have like ADHD. So one thing I've done recently, which has completely transformed what I'm doing, is I'm on my computer for an hour in the morning. So I check my emails, I do my posts for the day. After that, I only come back to it around 1 o'clock and then at 5 o'clock. So for me, what I'm doing is I'm taking myself away from my technology, away from my environment and distractions, and I'm putting myself into a place of creativity. Because what I found, and I'm sure you do, is like where you find like the best ideas. For most people, it's like the shower or on a walk. Right. So for as an entrepreneur, you need to put yourself in that situation. So for what I'm doing is take away the distractions and get myself in a spot where I can be creative. And then when I get back to the computer, I can be tactical, and then I'm out.
Okay. I love it. Now for you, if you have to write a proposal and different things like that, how do you do it? So are you taking yourself offline? Or are you taking yourself away from the computer as a whole?
Away from the computer. So if I had to write proposals, what I would do is I would set the time in the day in which I needed it done. So it's like I need to write proposals first thing in the morning. So if that takes 2 hours, I spend 2 hours, I write my proposals, I check my emails, then I take myself away, I shut my computer laptop down. I'll have my phone on me because I'm a sales guy, so I need to answer the phone, but I'll just put it in my pocket, and all I do is answer the calls. So just set times in the day in which you're using your computer and when you're not.
Thank you for that note. I'm actually going to be using those tactics. So I appreciate you sharing the wealth, man.
Yeah, buddy.
Well, Colin, man, thank you so much for being on the show here today.
Kevin, thanks so much for having me, man. It's a true honor to be on here. Hope I was able to provide some value to the Create Your Life series family here. And anything you need, everyone feel free to reach out.
Absolutely. Well, Create Your Life family, thank you so much for listening. And if this content is delivering value to you, please go to iTunes and Stitcher and rate us and review us. This helps us build a community, and building community is what we are all about right now, so that we can deliver as much value as possible. So until next time, create your life and feed your ambition. This episode was brought to you by PodcastLaundry.com. I love Podcast Laundry. It provides a real solution to free up my time, and time is the only resource that we cannot get back. Podcast Laundry was created with love to help other fellow busy podcasters free up time so that they could do more of what they love, whether that's traveling, time with friends and family, or working on other ventures. If you want to free up your time, then have Podcast Laundry do the dirty work of note-taking, graphic creation, editing, show tagging, and uploading for you. Go to podcastlaundry.com or call 347-871-8273 to schedule your consultation. And remember to use code CYLS. That's podcastlaundry.com or call 347-871-8273.